Hello everyone, my name is Nunu. Today we're back with F1 2018 Grand Prix for the German Grand Prix in season number 2 with McLaren. As always, you can see we've just brought, we haven't brought any developments at all, but Mercedes and Red Bull has kind of brought something. Us Ferrari and Renault hasn't brought anything. You can see the back markers are quickly catching up to us, so it might be a 10-way battle for the title next season. Oh, okay, I'm just kidding, that is not going to happen. We're going to have rain for the race, so it's going to be a very, very interesting race, but dry qualifying. Let's talk about qualifying. Let's get into the qualifying here for the German Grand Prix.
Welcome to Germany for today's qualifying session at the famous Hockenheim ring. The pit lane lights will turn green in the next minute or two to signify the start of qualifying.
So coming into the qualifying, we're just going to skip over the first 7 minutes to kind of get a little bit of a better track out on track, so we can get out of our first run and maybe have a second run if the first one is not too fast. So coming into the fast turn 1, that is so lovely to drive through. It looks so freaking dope, and through Mobile 1 as well. That's some of the best corners on this track, but I bet that is not going to be as fun in the wet as it is in the dry. I love this track in the dry, but I can't say I love it in the wet. It is a 1:11.3, which is not fast enough at all. We're down in 6th place at the moment, dropping down still to 7th. So we're going out for another one. You can see always by turn 1, we're almost 1/10 up, and by Mobile 1 in the arena section, we're 4/10 up. We're gaining so much, and we're 8/10 up, and we qualify in 2nd place behind our teammate Fernando Alonso, who took 1st place, and Sebastian Vettel, who was 8/10 behind. That's a giant. You can just see how big the performance gap is right there, with Sebastian Vettel being 7/10 behind us, or 6/10 behind us, which is absolutely insane how not close the field is at the moment. So starting in 2nd place, we can't go. We have to start in the ultra soft tires, of course, but we'll find out what strategy we have after the short intro made by Crofty here for the German Grand Prix.
There's nowhere at all I'd rather be today than here at Hockenheim for the German Grand Prix. We have an incredibly competitive field this year, which means we should be in for a treat. And judging by the sea of people filling the grandstands, there's a fair-sized chunk of Germany that agrees with me. It's 2.8 miles around the Hockenheim ring then, and some fairly wet conditions to overcome on this 17-corner circuit. The long, curved back straight leads into a tight hairpin for the best overtaking opportunity. But expect to see the cars running wide, as braking offline could prove very difficult indeed. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Wang. They've been involved in a number of costly incidents lately. That's got to affect their mindset going into this race.
It's not an ideal situation by any means. When you get into a bad run like that, there's always a risk of frustration creeping in, which can cause more mistakes and locks you into this vicious cycle. Hopefully today they can get through turn 1 cleanly and stay calm for the rest of the race.
So get through turn 1 cleanly is gonna be a challenge, but it's a very, very fast turn 1, as we have the wet tires, as we're gonna go for the trackside view for 5 red lights here for the German Grand Prix, and the lights are out, and we're underway for 17 laps in the wet around the Hockenheim circuit. We get off to an okay start. We have a Ferrari on one side, the Red Bull on the other side there, so the Red Bull goes down the inside, and they've charged it. We spun around together with the Red Bull, and there's a massive crash. The Red Bull's gone into the Red Bull, and there's a Mercedes, and everyone is involved. Over 11 cars, over half of the field is involved in this giant crash, and that's a huge pile up into the first corner. And as he said, we had to get cleanly through the first corner. We didn't. Here we have it on board for us. You can see was one of the, we just touched the front wheel of the Red Bull, and we spun around together with everyone. We just hold in the middle of the track, slow down everyone. So it's terrible. It's a disaster start for everyone in the grid. You can see there the Red Bull just hit the Ferrari, which eventually ended up hitting us. So we've spun around, and we've taken so many front wing with us. We've got a yellow front wing ourselves. You can see there the Mercedes just driving straight into a backwards car. So now it's time to see how fast we can rejoin the track and how good we can rejoin the track. But we get an illegal overtake on Pierre Gasly for some reason. So we're down to 14th place, and we have a yellow front wing damage. It's a disaster race start for us. We have the championship lead at the moment, but it doesn't look like we're going to have that after this race. Of course, we'll see in around 5 to 10 minutes time. So we'll have to pit in for the first lap, because it was just too hard to drive with these conditions. The front wing damage got so much understeer or oversteer somewhere. and I just lost too much time, and so decided to box in on the first lap. Of course, you don't have to box in the wet, but we do because we're front wing damage. We're going together with Marcus Ericsson, and I think also a couple of other people, but we just take it kind of easy going into the pits so we don't get a penalty, because that would be an absolute even more disaster. And we rejoin all the way down in 19th place, so it's time to see how many places we can make up. And you can see on the map Fernando Alonso here, so we're taking a look at him. He's so far in front. He's almost lapped us. Oh, not almost, but he's close to getting into within a sector behind us. You can see he's at least in a sector in front of us, and eventually he is gonna lap some people, which is gonna be world's first of this race. So if you take a look at Daniel Ricciardo, who's had a bad day made worse. His engine just lets go down through the parabolica section, which is absolutely sad. He's had a bad day from the first corner crash, and now his engine just lets go. But for some reason he doesn't retire, doesn't know where to go. We almost hit him. I just had to take a bit of action there, but he somehow makes his way back to the pits and survives this, which makes absolutely no sense in my mind, because normally when you have an engine issue, you're out of the race. But he made his way back, and eventually he kept fighting, and he continued in the race. But here you have the two Toro Rossos that are battling it out for position there. Brendan Hartley and Pierre Gasly. Brendan Hartley touched Pierre Gasly, and he spun around out into the gravel traps. That is going to be some controversial moment within the team. Their tension rising very, very high there. So Pierre Gasly spun out Brendan Hartley, yes, in the second sector of the range. So it's even worse race for Brendan Hartley there. You can see getting very, very close to making it very, very wrong there, touching the wall. And Fernando Alonso's just keeping going faster and faster in the rain. At 124, we could only get down to 127 around there, so we're catching up fastly to Brendan Hartley, who's of course been spun around right before, but we have more performance in the car, so it shouldn't be too hard to get past him, even though it is in the rain. As we're coming through the first corner there, you can see we run a little bit wide there. I'm making way too many mistakes right now, but it's not costly for our race. I managed to save a couple of them, most of them. That one in the wall there was very, very risky, as we go for the dive down the inside of Brendan Hartley, and we get him for 15th place. So still 5 positions to get into the points, and I doubt that we're going to get them. As we go for a move around the outside of Mobile 1, is this going to be move of the race? If we can make it stick going into Sachs corner, we are going to have the inside liner. We're going to get into 14th place. That might have been move of the race. So now we're behind Grosjean, but of course, as I said before, we're on lap 13, so it's going to be hard to get into the points because the field is so much spread out on track. They're pretty much everywhere. Here we're taking a look at Charles Leclerc, who pulls out to the side because he has an engine issue, but the field is so much spread out on track. You can see down there on the map in the corner, there's pretty much cars everywhere on track, either lapped or not lapped. It's such a chaos race, pretty much. So it's going to be very, very hard to get into the points as we go past Roman Grosjean, as the same place as we did on Sirotkin or Stroll. I don't really remember, to be honest. And now we catch up to Verstappen on the second last lap of the race. We go for the dive down the inside of the hairpin. We almost hit into the back of Pierre Gasly, and Pierre Gasly is the position 4 points. So if we are going to get points, we're only going to get 1 point, and we're going to lose the championship lead by 22 points as we try to overtake Pierre Gasly around the outside of the last corners, but he squeezes us out to the curb there, so we have to back out of that one. That could have gone very, 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 very wrong. He places his car in the middle of the track with just half a lap remaining. We're going to want to overtake him through down to the hairpin. We could, because we have the slipstream down through Parabolica coming down to the hairpin. He squeezes out to the curb on the inside, but we kind of managed to fight through, and we are up into 10th place. So that is 1 point for us here at the German Grand Prix at the moment. It could still change in the last sector. I could crash out and get 0 points at a DNF, but this has been a very, very disappointing race. Of course, that first lap disaster made us go from 2nd down to 19th, and now we're back up into 10th place. So a pretty nice comeback from 19th to 10th, but of course not the ideal race we wanted. That crash there in the start costs us everything, and costed a lot of people everything. So this might be a championship defining moment, because we were leading before this, but at the moment we aren't. We're just gonna round off this video very, very fastly there. You can see down in 10th place, Fernando Alonso winning the race, and we're being demoted to 3rd place in the driver's standings, and we're behind Alonso with 22 points, which is absolutely insane. But I'm gonna round off this video. We're just gonna take a new gearbox for the next race, but I hope you enjoy this video. I certainly did. It was a crazy race here in Germany, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.